Welcome to Kin and Compost, dedicated to the wild and endangered ones. The problem. As a result of climate change, there is an increased risk of extreme weather events such as bushfires, heat waves, and large storms. The extreme fires in the summer of 2019 and 2020 in Australia are unlikely to be one-off events. The impact of bushfires affect communities widely, from small businesses to mental health. Everything is impacted. An increase in mental health issues followed the Gippsland fires. With the ongoing threat of bushfires, there is a real need to help individuals and communities to respond to such traumatic events. Those who may be most at risk of not receiving adequate mental health support following a bushfire are those situated in small communities. The current initiatives are reactive in nature. They do not deal with the cause. They are top-down approaches. And lastly, they may not be accessible to all people in the community. Building social connectedness in the community may help to navigate some of the challenges that arise from the environmental issues that we are currently facing. What does social connectedness provide individuals? Well, it may provide fewer mental health problems, improved health and well-being, resiliency for times of crisis, preventative measures, a place of belonging and connection, particularly this is important for youth and elderly, a safer place to live, as well as a sense of pride in one's community. What social connectedness can provide communities? It can provide engagement, resiliency, more adaptive and proactive communities, a place of belonging for everyone, increased safety, and a decrease in neighbourhood crimes. But wait, there is one caveat. Not everyone is included in the community. There are some people that might be left out. This is a real gap. Social connectedness within the community may be limited. Rural communities already have less access to mental health services, and mental health services may be limited to specific demographics within those communities. For instance, let's take youth as one example. Social isolation and lack of belonging is a factor in youth suicide and the leading cause of death in adolescence. The marginalised may have even less support and social connectedness than others within the community, and may be at a greater risk of mental health problems following climate change disasters. These groups may be prone to isolation, discrimination, and community exclusion. Youth, elderly, disabled. What works? We must view communities through the lens of equality. This is when communities become strongest, more resilient, and are able to flourish as a whole. How do we build social connectedness for communities, and particularly for those who are marginalised in the community? This is a great question. Let us look at now what works. Turning to community gardens. Community gardens are an important point of call for building up social connectedness. Creating social connectedness can provide and support building social ties, enable people to have trust in the community, create a sense of belonging, utilize people's strengths, and be a place of bonding and bridging new pathways for diverse communities. So we welcome Kin and Compost, a multi-pronged seasonal garden event. So the Kin and Compost seasonal event, it takes an ABCD approach. Because we're focused on a bottom-up approach, we're focused on being proactive and empowering the collective, utilizing their strengths. We focus on creating co-owners in the community, embracing diversity, and building upon and enhancing our strengths. Kin and Compost is a small-scale community initiative that centers each element of its initiative around the community garden. We focus on binding, bridging, and building. The landscape of Kin and Compost looks at 4 important elements. Let us look at these elements now. The binding component looks at inviting social support into the community. This is focused on 1 to 2 hour PERMA-based workshops. These are workshops that are focused on integrating community history and Indigenous information, seasonal gardening, nutrition, environmental, educational and sustainable living advice. These workshops focus on these themes, but also they integrate the PERMA principles. Why do these workshops work? Well, they provide a free event for people to connect socially. They offer valuable education. They appeal to a broad audience, as well as they focus on social and environmental systems levels of changes. They challenge the top-down approach by inviting community members to utilize the existing resources and strengths that it already has at its disposal. The bridging component. The bridging component looks at inviting equality into the community. It focuses on the Dig Buddies program and the Making Kin program. Firstly, the Dig Buddies program partners people together. It partners elders and Indigenous with youth or disabled people, giving them a chance to share their knowledge and allowing them to receive a helping hand from another person. Work in the garden, utilizing their strengths together. The Making Kin program focuses on inviting newly relocated community members to take part in the Kin and Compost events. Why the Dig Buddies and the Making Kin program works? It decreases loneliness, provides a sense of belonging, enhances community and pride, promotes positive relationships, and it focuses on meeting the needs of a selective group of individuals in the collective. And lastly, building strengths. The building component invites a sense of pride into the community through the Hey Gardener program. The Hey Gardener program is based on Vancouver's Hey Neighbour program. Our Hey Gardener program will be instigated to help develop pride in the community. This is an award for gardeners growing produce, helping others in a kind way, bridging relationships, and promoting involvement in the garden. Why the Hey Gardener program works? It connects people with community resources. It strengthens community pride, encourages people to be active, promotes communication and positive relationships. It focuses on developing existing potential, focuses on developing connections, focuses on individuals as co-producers. I hope you will join me for the Kin and Compost seasonal event, where you will take part in the PERMA-based workshops, where you will learn about the Dig Buddies program or the Making Kin program, or lastly, you'll learn all about the Hey Gardener program. Kin and Compost event really is a seasonal event designed to strengthen social connectedness in all individuals. The workshops and programs run 4 times a year, but we encourage people to connect outside of these events and to strengthen those social bonds. Thank you for listening. May we collectively make kin and compost.